Я Федосеев Сергей Александрович.
I am Fedoseev Sergey Alexandrovich. I give my full consent to the video recording. I was born in the city of Donetsk and worked in the mine. I started as a locksmith and later was promoted to the combine driver of the Butivka mine. Then, when the Butivka mine was closed, we were transferred to the Yasenivska Глубока mine, and we worked there till the middle of 2015. The call went to Ukraine. Then, when they began to pay wages of 8-10,000 rubles, in rubles I quitted. I resigned from the Yasenivska Глубока mine and started working as a taxi driver. I lived like this until 2022, until this terrible mobilization began. On February 24th, 2022, the commandant's office caught me. We didn't understand where we were going. They put us on train at the station and we arrived in Ilovaisk on January 1st. We had already been sold to the Russian army or somehow reformed and sold, if I can say so, to the Russian army. So that we had already become servicemen of the Russian army. There we lived again at the mine for some period of time, and one morning we were thrown there in a IFV. We resisted there and cried and did not want to go there, but we were made by force. They said, "You'll go there for 2 days. The trenches there are empty and then you'll be replaced. You'll go back to your household, work and so on." So in short, we sat there and drove. We had 2 cars. There were 12 men that had to be in the trench. The first car blew up. Someone's leg was torn away and we were told to jump out from the second car. My friend Sanya and I jumped out and this car started, I do not remember, to turn around, so we ran. There was a road. I do not know, maybe 5 meters away there was a forestation. Someone in the field, nothing else. We ran to the forestation, lay under a tree and bushes, and we were lying. Sanya and I were lying there and we did not hear anyone else nearby. Maybe all of them ran away, went back. We were wounded and in an hour or an hour and a half there were guys from the armed forces of Ukraine and they told us to surrender.
Саню тоже перевязать, чем было.
Sanya was also wounded in 3 limbs. Anyway, we surrendered. They said to come to them and I said that we couldn't go. I said we couldn't go because Sanya needed help. He needed to be pulled up. I was dragging him to the voice. I dragged him to the voice. The guys helped Sanya to bandage him with what they had. We were shot with a VOG grenade too, and I had a first aid kit there. The first aid kit had some bandages left, but it was torn up. They bandaged me and Sanya. We went to the trench. We stayed in the trench for a while. Nobody touched us, nothing. The guys gave us water, cigarettes. Our Russian kamikaze drone flew here under the trench. Shrapnel hit my back. That's it, very bad. They told us to get out of the trench under a tree. There was a tree with branches hanging down. To lie down under the tree. They were shooting at us. We lay down under the tree until late evening. We stayed there with Sanya. After evening, we were told to go back down into the trench. We slowly crawled down into the trench, crawled on our knees, crawled down into the trench and lay there on the edge of the trench. There were branches there, so it kind of covered the trench a little bit. There was also a guy from the armed forces of Ukraine who also gave us cigarettes and water until the morning. Anyway, in the morning, the guys came, took me away, and when I couldn't walk because my back and kidneys were knocked out by the blast wave, but we slowly went. They gave me a pill saying it would put me back on my feet.
Саню должны были вынести на носилках ребята.
And very slowly we went. Sanya and I wanted to go slowly on our hands and knees at night to go there under the flights, along the field, but Sanya on his hands and knees and we could not crawl. Sanya had to be carried out on a stretcher by guys. Well, Russian officers, they don't care. We tried to run away from the Russians. Russians in general, they only go to the border. They are immediately put on lists just like us. There are lists at the borders. We can't even go to Russia to escape. We can't get lost somewhere. Roughly speaking, we were completely under the control of the barrier troops. When we were in the clubhouse guarded by machine guns fighters, we couldn't even go out to take a piss. That is, if you go out to take a piss, you go with a machine gunner, and there are some bushes, you pee and go right back it. That's it. So there was no step to the right or to the left, so no one could run away. On the Ukrainian side, as soon as we lay down, as soon as the soldiers saw us, we surrendered. And before, we were not even allowed out of our houses. Roughly speaking, we could not go anywhere in our position, so that no one surrendered. I wasn't fighting for anything. I'm not fighting for anything. I will say, and I told this so many times to Russians, that I had a better life in Ukraine than I do now. That is, I had a decent salary, I had everything, but I was not a rich man, I was a simple man. I worked from paycheck to paycheck. Well, I was satisfied with everything, I didn't need anything. When Ukraine was in those borders as it was, the whole Ukraine in its borders, I have no relatives either in Russia or in Ukraine. People went to work in Russia, no one touched them. As they say, they came here from Russia to work, everything was okay. Some people had relatives, everyone went to each other peacefully and everything was great. I do not understand at all why this war is needed, for which territories, just to take away the land. If Russia has the largest territory of land, which is not cultivated from Monday to Sunday, you can, roughly speaking, cultivate it and work. There's land and production can be done there. I don't know what this war is for. It is probably genocide of their own people of Russia, extermination of them. But if they wanted to exterminate their own people, there was coronavirus, they could make the second coronavirus in Russia. For those who are weak there, I do not know, sick, who is in that category. Before Maidan, to be honest, I understood that people expressed their opinions, and I understood that it was somehow good, but it was getting worse every day. Worse, some rallies, war. It did not lead to anything good in the end. There was even such a thing, according to me, that once a year or once every 6 months, for those who suffered from flooding in the Carpathian region, for example, we gave the salary for 1 day of work. It wasn't paid out to us, we gave it to the fund. Who felt bad in Ukraine? Who needed help? I say that it was good for me in Ukraine. Yes, I used to spend a whole year collecting this money to go to Crimea. I went to Crimea with my wife, with my children. I went to Crimea with my first child. I rested. I knew that I would get on the train, come rest, sit down on the train back and come home, go to work. I knew that the holiday pay would be paid out. So then, when I come home, my family will have what to eat.
К хорошему ничего оно не приводило.
What good could be there? No banks, no normal communication, no normal internet. You can't go anywhere, you can't go back, you're like in a concentration camp. That's it. What was good? My father is an old retired police officer, my mother is old, my wife's mother-in-law has cancer, and my grandmother died at the age of 91, but back then she was bedridden. You understand, no one leaves his parents. My father said, I'm not going anywhere from the apartment at all, nowhere. Mother, you understand, she will not go either. But my mother-in-law, everything was slowly getting worse too. She said that we could leave, but they would die there. So maybe people would bury them there. Well, when you hear such things from relatives, you know you could not leave. So it turns out that the mines we worked in have closed, the factories have closed. But if I worked in a mine all the time, I know how to work in a mine. For me, it was easier to work a shift, and I worked 2 shifts in the mine. There was such an accident, and 3 shifts in a row were hard, but I worked. I knew that I would be paid for it, and my family would be fed and clothed. Better? What's better? Prices have gone up. I am saying now, if you speak in rubles, the prices are very big. With the advent of this recognition of Russia, even under the Donetsk People's Republic, they were lower, very much lower. A pack of cigarettes was 60 rubles, and 25 and 30 rubles. There was a price for a pack of cigarettes, and now a pack of cigarettes is 170 rubles, 200 and something rubles is pack of cigarette. Well, such an average pack of cigarettes is 150 to 170 rubles. There is nothing good either. Before New Year's there were 176,000 when Russia came in.
Все хотят.
So there is a card, my wife uses it and gives money to my mom and family. Everyone wants to quit somehow solve the issue in order to quit this army. No one wants to fight. I'm telling you, in all seriousness, no one wants to fight. Here, in fact, probably every second person does not want to fight. Everyone in his position, someone who is a driver, someone else, even a driver does not want to fight. He says, there is no need for me. I'd rather go back to the mine. Torres, Snizhne. I'd rather get 30,000 rubles there. I don't need more. It's enough for the family. We have a vegetable garden, tomatoes, cucumbers, potatoes. We have everything and we'll earn money to buy bread. Nobody wants to fight. I'm telling you honestly, before 2012 I had a normal friendly attitude towards Russia, but now I have talked to many people and your commanders. I have a negative attitude. I just still cannot understand what this war is for. Just a negative attitude. The Russian government is killing its own people. They let there be young people. There are 19 years old there. Let there be convicts. They have made some mistakes in their lives. Why do you send him here? He will serve his time. He can correct himself. Here are mobilized guys who are 25 years old, who only started to have a family, small children were born, and they were killed or crippled. Everyone there probably feels resentment and anger. We just can't do anything about it. I don't know what will happen next. Someone smart would suggest something. They would make some kind of coup, kick them out, do something like this. I understand that children of mayors, governors, officials, they were not caught and sent here. But there are a lot of simple laborers, the simple laborers who are being driven out by them here destroying everything.
По сути дела, должна репарации эти платить.
In fact, Russia has to pay these reparations and rebuild. People should rebuild, workers, soldiers should rebuild everything here. Unity? It is very unlikely, because I talked to many people, your men in the trenches, you have a bigger sense of patriotism, because you are here for your land. It's mine too. If we could drop the weapons and go home in 15 minutes, one could enter empty Donetsk. Dear fellow countrymen, those haven't been mobilized yet, guys, do everything possible and impossible, so that you are not taken into this senseless army. I don't know, break your legs, try to live and get lost in Russia, work on construction sites somewhere, maybe someone will go to Ukraine, if it works out, of course. I don't know, get lost. I don't even have words at all. If there is mobilization, don't even go out of the houses, go somewhere there, maybe to some old acquaintances where there is no one. Live somewhere there in basements too, but don't pick up a machine gun, don't pick up weapons and don't fight.